Hello everyone and welcome back. I'm the Knife Doctor. This is the Knife Doctor channel. Today we're going to be talking about something from Benchmade. Never done a Benchmade on the channel before, so this is not exciting. Let's go. Alright, so all kidding aside, this is the Benchmade Protagonist, and I'm borrowing this from a coworker, and I like it, and I don't like it, and I like it. As per usual, I always have gripes about just about anything, you guys know that at this point, but we're gonna go ahead and get two things out of the way real quick. First of all, this video is being released a little later than normal because I completely forgot to film anything this weekend, and here we are. And the other video I have to edit is a new kind of video I'm going to publish here pretty soon, where me and a buddy of mine sat down, you guys will get to see my face, and discussed knife related stuff, but we were drinking heavily and there's a lot of things I have to edit out of that video, so that's going to be a little bit down the road type deal. Also, I am going on vacation for the next, won't be back till the 12th, so if at all, maybe one video during that time period. I know it's a big gap, but you know, I gotta go blow off my steam somehow. Anyways, back to the knife. First of all, it's a Benchmade. Benchmade being, of course, the fanciest and most well-known brand name of all brand names. So we're going to have some red wine with this knife. And let's get some specs out of the way real quick. Benchmade Protagonist, you can currently pick it up on the Blade HQ website if it's in stock, which it wasn't when I checked, for $144.50 plus tax. After that, you have an overall length of 9.12 inches, a blade length of 4.54, which I think is a pretty good size length for general purpose utility fixed blade. The blade thickness is 1.2, so not even quite a 1/8 of an inch, which I don't like. I think that the blade should have been thicker, but that's just me, especially considering the material choices. I'll get into that in a little bit. Handle thickness, 0.54 inches, so a little over 1/2 inch, adequate. It feels a little skinny though. Weight, 4.23 ounces. Now that's nice. A lightweight knife is always a nice thing if you're going to be carrying it on a regular basis. And for anyone who cares, the model number is 169 SBK. And this is the Benchmade Protagonist. We don't need that anymore. All right, so without further ado, let's get it out of the sheath and we'll talk about it. So, as I said, this is not my knife, so it has a little bit of wear and tear on it that you would not generally associate with one of my knives, because I do tend to baby them like nothing else. But overall, profile is great. It's got a good profile. In fact, that's black on black doesn't really do it any justice. So there we go. Look at that bad boy. I think it looks handsome. It has a good feel to it if you grip it like this, if you use the thumb ramp. However, a hammer grip, it feels there's a lot of space left over. I did sharpen this for the person who's letting me borrow it for this video, because that was part of the agreement. I get to do a video and he gets a sharp knife back, so there we go. Pretty good. It's 154 cm, so it took an edge in about 3 seconds. Was pleasantly surprised with that. Partially serrated blade. Yeah, not quite 1/8 of an inch thick on the blade. It looks thicker in person than it does on camera, but ultimately for what this knife is, I'm not entirely sure what they marketed this as. If they marketed it as a utility knife, if they marketed it as a tactical knife, I could see it being marketed as both. For a tactical knife, the blade thickness is fine, but this is a rubberized grip, which is generally more indicative of a work purpose knife, but sometimes it is prudent to include that on a tactical blade. it's good. I mean, it's not bad. I should preface this by saying I don't generally care for Benchmade. I think the most expensive component on a Benchmade knife is that right there. You're paying for that Benchmade name, which when they had the patents still on the axis lock, that made sense. They were the only company that could produce it. If you wanted an axis lock, you were going to pay the premium for it. But now freaking Real Steel out of China can use the axis lock because their patents expired. Both of them, the first one and their second patent they got on it. So you would think to stay competitive, they might have lowered their prices, but I suppose then again, you would be compromising your integrity at that point. But either way, I was hoping they were going to lower the prices because I do like a few Benchmade models, but I can't justify spending the money on it when it cost on average 20% more than a Spyderco of the same materials and general design. And in my opinion, in most cases, slightly better build quality. No, that's just me being biased. They're pretty much apples for apples as far as manufacturing processes and build quality, if I'm being fair. So, yeah. What would I use this knife for? Because this isn't my knife. If I own this knife, what would I use it for? Well, let's talk about the sheath. The sheath has no pocket or belt clip on it, which is not a big deal. You can get belt clips, and this looks like it would pretty much go on just about anything. You could obviously paracord it onto stuff. It does have a little bleeder hole down here for water to drain free, which is a good thing, especially considering this is 154 cm and 154 cm tends to rust. Adjustable retention, that's kind of neat. I've seen that before, but it's not very common. But yeah, for the sheath from Benchmade, and I will give that to them over Spyderco, 10 out of 10. This is a great sheath. I have done sheathed this knife a few times. You can see down in there how deep the, where's a flashlight? You can see how deep right there. That's where the blade goes right there. And focus. Focus, there we go. You can see how deep that goes down in there, away from where the blade actually rests. The actual blade sits all the way back here. So there's ample clearance between the plastic side of the sheath and where the blade actually rests. And I think that is why this is such a good sheath. The Spydercos don't really have that. So as far as sheathing goes, 10 out of 10. This is an excellent polymer sheath, and it does exactly what it's supposed to do. Retention, strap, I would take it off pretty much instantly. I would crank up the retention on this little screw here and just ditch the strap. Now, this isn't my knife, so I'm not going to play around with that. Otherwise, I would and see how tight I could get it to go and see, because this does look a touch on the fragile side, so I don't know if I over tightened it if it would break, but I would certainly find out. Back to the handle, the rubberized texture here. It feels good for rubberized knife handle. I've handled a few. This one is on the high side of that. It's got a good feel. I don't know. I don't like rubberized handles. I think they are gimmicky-ish. The whole thing behind them is like you're supposed to be able to grip it when it's wet and when it's cold and all these things, and that's just simply not true. You can grip them when they're wet, assuming you're not wet with something other than just water. If you're wet with something like blood, or I really need to stop saying if you're wet. If your hands are wet with something like blood or oil or gasoline, even anything other than, I mean, even sweat. Sweat has a higher viscosity than just plain old water, or more viscosity. No, lower viscosity. It's more lubrous, which is a word, I think. Look it up. I don't know. It's late. I'm trying to pound this one out. So they're not as grippy as they seem. And also, most of them, due to temperature, laws of thermodynamics, the rubber gets a little bit more stiff in the cold, and you can't grip them as well in the cold either. I prefer a solid material that does not get affected by pretty much anything. That's not saying that, because I like G10, but G10's not all it's cracked up to be either. Anyways, good knife. Takes an edge. It's got great blade geometry. And I would recommend it. It's not expensive. I mean, it's $144 for a fixed blade. It's a decent price knife. It's not something I would pick up mostly because of the handle. I think they have a way cooler fixed blade with the aluminum handles and the Tonto point. I don't know what the price gap on that is. I probably should have checked on that considering I planned on mentioning it, but I would rather have one of those, but I do like this. Yeah. If you were going to use this for anything harder than just tactical use, I would like to see the blade thicker, but that's not to say it's not going to hold up. It is 154 cm. It's pretty tough. It just doesn't hold an edge as long, you know, but it is what it is. I don't really care for Benchmades, but I have no issues with this. I have no real legitimate problems with this knife. This is a quality knife from a quality manufacturer with a quality sheath, and it now has a quality edge on it. It is quality. That is one thing I will give to Benchmade. They've always done it well. They're always going to continue to do it well unless their CEO, starts doing meth. They make quality products, high quality, well-made, well-finished products. And as much as I don't like it, that's just the truth of the matter. See, I can be honest and unbiased about things. Anyways, thanks for watching, everybody. It was it wasn't really quick. I'm looking at the time code right now, but it felt quick. And it's fun hanging out. I will probably not see you guys again for a while, but if I do, it'll probably be with some friends. So thanks for coming. We just hit 71 subscribers today. I just checked. That's as of today. Tomorrow when this video gets released, it'll probably be 71 still. But that's awesome. All you new subscribers, thanks for coming. We're very glad to have you. When we hit 100 subscribers, I have told a little boy, that sounds wrong. One of my good friends has a son, he's a YouTuber too, and he really wants my merch, which doesn't exist yet. So when we hit 100 subs, I will heavily consider doing some merch. Anyone who is interested in that, give me some feedback so I can have some idea of what the interest in my merch would be. I will drop in some concept arts I rendered up for the merch at the end of this video. But thanks for coming, everybody. I had fun. I hope you had fun. I hope you learned something about this thing right here. And cheers.